back with more Walking Dead World Beyond. This is episode 10 of season 1 and the season finale, which I'm very excited to see and get a glimpse at how they're gonna wrap all this up, and I imagine also set up a lot for season 2. Yeah, I'm hyped given how things ended off last time. Hope, absolute genius, kind of worked out that Huck is up to no good. She's got a gun, so there's going to be a big confrontation there, I assume. We got a glimpse into Will and Felix, kind of how they met, a bit of their relationship, and we saw that Will was seemingly in trouble with the CRM. I'm guessing it was the CRM chasing him away. So shit's going down there. Hopefully we'll get, some answers about that in this episode, if they actually reach their destination. Are we going to find out more about their dad and everything? I think his name's Leo. We have Elton is also with Percy at the minute, and now Elton knows that Huck's dodgy as well. Silas, God knows where he's gone. We didn't see him in the last one. And Iris and Felix are still just kind of in a nice cozy house. So I know which team I'd rather be with right now. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how they're going to wrap up this first season, because, it was a bit of a slow start, I think. It took a few episodes to really kind of find its footing. But I think the second half in particular of the season's been excellent, and I can only assume we're going to get an excellent finale as well if they're kind of running on that momentum. Hopefully we're going to get some really cool answers and more world building for the general World Beyond kind of biz. I'm not expecting any earth-shattering kind of stuff like Rick showing up. I really don't think that's where they're going for, at least not with this show. I feel like if Rick was going to appear in something, they would shout and rave and scream about it to get ratings, and they haven't really done that. So I'm not really expecting anything like that, but some general world building will be nice, and some focus on these characters that we spent 10 episodes with. Are we going to lose anyone? I don't know. That made me nervous. As long as it's not Elton, I feel like I could deal with it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how they're going to wrap up this first season. So let's get into the finale.
Scattered brain syndrome strikes again. Sorry. I was just thinking.
It's Sandwich Lady. But she's eating soup or some shit. What's wrong?
I'm sure she's with friends, getting into some kind of trouble.
She's getting into trouble? Oh boy.
Who the hell are you?
All by myself. You're not all by yourself. He's there. Look to your left. Yes. Aww.
I followed the smoke.
Awesome.
It was you.
Like you're just chilling. You didn't kill him, buddy.
Just because Silas isn't who we thought he was, doesn't mean Huck isn't Huck.
I know this isn't what you want to hear.
You're acting
Huck
like she's
is
a stranger.
Huck.
Maybe she
But
is.
she's a hucking traitor.
There is only one room in this place that we haven't searched. Huck said it was filled with bodies.
Yeah. I thought that was weird.
You don't want to hurt anybody else. Not like before.
I knew she's going to bring that up.
That night with your mom.
You manipulative cow.
Did you ever hear from Dr. Abbott since you went back to Portland?
I don't
Not a
think he
word.
went back to Portland.
But no more lies, okay?
No more lies.
Ironic from you. You big fucking sandwiches.
You got this, girl. You got this.
Don't try and act like you're brothers and sisters in arms. Felix is like, of course this room had to be fucking upstairs with my foot. Oh.
Are you sure that this is the room that Huck...
I'm sure.
I mean, if it wasn't, you'd have known about it, wouldn't you?
We could have used this stuff to fix your ankle.
Yeah.
It wasn't you, Silas.
This time.
You're not a monster, Silas. You never were. Not even close.
Tell that to your dad. I mean, your dad was a dick. I don't blame you.
Care about all of you. Then why are they expendable?
Care about all of you except Felix when I cut his ankle and Silas when I framed him.
Those last 2 messages he sent saying he was in trouble, they weren't from him. They were from me.
What?
Oh, that makes sense.
Figured your sister tried to talk you out of it so you'd come to me. And the 2 of us will go. Just the 2 of us.
Why?
It ended up being Iris's idea.
I did everything I could to split up the group without hurting anybody.
Tell that to fucking Tony.
Everything.
You killed them!
To save everybody else. There's no other way.
The CRM is all about building communities and keeping people safe, and then we go around slaughtering compounds.
We do.
Why do you people give a shit about me?
Kid,
That's what I want to
you
know.
have no idea who you
No offense. Who is she?
When I walk into the study to find processor chips and circuitry
Yep.
everywhere.
As you do.
I thought you...
She's gonna make some amazing wine.
Or maybe she'll save the world.
We have to pick up the pace.
Maybe she'll save the world with wine.
Where are we? They'll find you. They always find you.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
I'm glad you're okay. And sorry about...
Okay is a
how
strong
I was
word.
with you.
Refueling station we raided. It's close by.
Part of me was hoping Felix and Iris had found a vehicle. Oh, well they have. Just not that one.
You're gonna be one with the car.
You did not just say be one with the car. That's totally something my dad would say.
Who do you think taught me how to drive?
Ah.
Stay back.
Oh,
See the light from the road.
nice.
Another big choice. Time to make it.
She's just so casually like, oh, you gotta make a big choice in these situations. Like, one of her big choices was fucking murder.
Holy shit.
What's going on? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. The truck, how'd you get it going?
They're onto you, bitch.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
Kid.
Iris, she meant the basement. You must have heard wrong.
We all just left.
Ah,
Bye.
this is frustrating.
All good things.
I hope he's still sus.
And we should get some shut
She's the imposter. Eject her into space. Yes. I knew he didn't buy it.
One more step.
You trusted me. But I told them.
Are you just practicing, or is he strapped in there
I don't want to hurt you.
You
again?
gotta listen to her.
I just want you to be happy. I really did.
He's really happy with the bloody gash in his foot. Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Felix?
Oh boy.
No, without you! Get out of the house!
Oh my. Oh man. Someone edit this and replace the weapons with lightsabers. It would look so cool. Hurts, doesn't it? Oh, that's a good shot. It makes me sad to see these two fight after everything. Nice.
Hey, Silas. Hey.
Oh.
You're not a monster, Silas.
Uh-oh.
You did that, Silas.
That was cool. I'll give you that. Big Mo.
Matter.
Said me. So you can save the others.
Oh my god. Oh, now you feel bad about murdering, do you? Oh. Oh.
What are you doing? Get away from him!
But no matter what Huck did, don't be the monster. Elsa,
Oh.
you believed in me when I didn't. You're my best friend. Thank you.
Oh. Sisters are doing it for themselves.
We'll find safety.
Don't bother talking to him.
Sometimes you gotta do bad to do good.
You keep telling yourself that. I don't think they'll kill him, hopefully.
Something that's been eating at me. Something sensitive.
What is it?
What do you put in your sandwiches?
I think it's possible we're being lied to.
You do? I hope she's thinking I'm gonna burn this place down from the inside.
We're part of it now.
Heh. That's what hallucination
I think
Percy
we're the
said.
last of the species because we're the beginning.
Is this the Grand High Witch? Yes, it is.
They're not a threat.
I'm taking care of them.
I found Mom. We'll get the rest.
Uh-oh.
Let me handle this. I was gonna make sure they get back to the campus colony.
I didn't want to have to step in, but that incident back home before you left for Omaha put your judgment into question. At least in the eyes of others.
She doesn't know they killed
You had to
everyone.
see to it.
Oh, there's still potential for you to turn against her.
Can't tell you how pleased I am to have you at the facility.
Then don't. Shut up.
Because I'm not the real asset. We are. The two of us together. We've spent our
Ah.
whole lives making each other better,
Yeah, okay.
stronger.
That's cool, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's hope only kind of checked the map because of something Iris said
That's
to
how we're
her.
gonna beat them. We're the future.
So they step into a bear trap, immediately killed. Hello. They're not wearing masks made of skins, that's a good start. Oh, is this going to be Will? Well, I never. Oh, are these all survivors of the compound, maybe? Oh. Ha, that's cool. Okay, well, that was The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 1. All done, and I really, really enjoyed that finale a hell of a lot. Really solid, good way of finishing off the season, a few of the arcs, and also lots to kind of set up next season as well. Everyone's kind of... It's a classic Walking Dead formula, I guess, where, you know, all the characters are in, like, different groups and split up, and they could do that formula of, you know, one episode focuses on a couple of characters and the next one focuses on some different ones. I don't know if that's going to be how they approach Season 2. Because one thing I've actually found quite refreshing about watching World Beyond this season compared to, you know, particularly obviously what Fear the Walking Dead's been doing this season, I've actually liked having basically all the characters in every episode. I think it does help because it's a bit of a smaller cast really, World Beyond, compared to like Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead. So it's actually kind of been quite refreshing to actually see everyone in every episode. Obviously, we've had a few people absent at times, but for the most part we've seen everyone. So I don't know how I'd feel about them taking that approach to Season 2, but obviously we're not going to know until it arrives, and they're not even filming it until early next year. So I don't know when we'll be getting Season 2, probably the end of 2021, there or thereabouts, I imagine, or they'll save it to 2022, who can say. It would be interesting to kind of have it airing alongside the end of The Walking Dead, so I could see them saving it for that long, but it just depends, you know. I imagine the original plan was for it to be next year anyway, but COVID, you know, crazy times. But, you know, they got all of Season 1 filmed, so this, you know, the show wasn't too badly affected. I know it was delayed a bit from when they first originally were going to air, I think. But still, I thought overall this was a really solid first season. And, you know, we're halfway through the show at this point, since we know Season 2 is going to be it. And things really did pick up episode 5 onwards. Like, awesome stuff. I've really kind of fallen in love with what they were doing with the show, and a lot of the characters are really great. For me, Elton's the shining star of the show. I know a lot of people have loads of different characters. I thought Elton was kind of the revelation of the show for me. Huck's also a very interesting character. Took them a bit too long to kind of explore that side, I think. But there you go. I guess they purposely made her kind of mysterious for a lot of the time because they had that twist coming for her. They didn't want to give the game away. So, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, I think this episode did have a good job of showcasing how far these characters kind of come and developed. You know, Silas kind of giving himself up, telling the others, you know, don't be the monster that he always kind of fears that he is. He doesn't want them to, you know, be seen as how others in other settlements kind of saw him after what he did to his father and everything. Giving himself up to the CRM, see what they're going to do with him will be an interesting thing next season. Obviously, Hope is with Huck and Elizabeth now, going to reunite with her dad. I think the biggest twist is that her dad's not in danger, and Huck was kind of sending those messages, which actually makes a lot of sense thinking about it. So they're all kind of off together, and then Elton and Percy are together, trying to meet up with, I assume, maybe Iris and Felix, who are currently together as well. So I could see those two kind of reuniting before maybe any of the other characters, but it depends what they have planned for season 2, I guess. But yeah, really great kind of finale. And I guess Iris and Felix are going to be a bit distracted right now because they've just reunited with Will and that random group of people who I'm assuming are like maybe survivors of the CRM's attack on the university, or maybe they're just an entirely different group altogether. Because we saw Will being chased off, and suddenly he's with these people now. So I don't know if they saved him or whatever. Obviously, we'll get more information next season. But yeah, really, really good stuff. I liked getting a bit more of an insight into Leo and seeing what his life is like at that facility, and with, I think it was like Belshaw, Dr. Belshaw or something, that woman, who we'd kind of seen in a lot of the post-credit scenes doing all these weird, wacky, crazy studies, and she was trying to tell Leo that Hope was on her way and shady shit was going to go down, but she couldn't go through with it ultimately. But those two are kind of together, which I wasn't expecting. So we'll see how that all plays out. It was cool to get some like post-credit teases throughout the whole season, mainly like surrounding her, and then she had a bit more to do in this one. But it seems she does have like this genuine attachment to Leo, and maybe she's going to hold stuff back, and it's going to cause a lot of tension further on down the line. So we'll see what happens there. We didn't get a lot of answers about exactly what the CRM are planning. Why is Hope in particular so important in the asset? Is it just because of her super brain, as it seems? But Huck was also like, you have no idea who you are. So I don't know if there's going to be even more to it than that. But I love what they did actually with the reveal that it isn't necessarily just Hope, it's kind of Hope and Iris together. I kind of like that, because right from the off, when they were first kind of adopted, they came as a pair basically, and they're kind of looking out for each other right from the beginning, and they're so in sync. We saw that it was actually Iris kind of helping Hope a bit and like reassembling the computer and got it working, and as a matter of circumstance they got a bit twisted when she was gone, and then Leo appeared and saw seemingly she'd done it all herself. So the fact that it's kind of both of their brains together. I'm just getting a phone call, so I'll be right back. So yeah, kind of lost my train of thought now, but I was talking about the girls. But yeah, I like the idea that those two are kind of joined at the hip in a sense in terms of their brains as well, and they kind of bring out the best in each other. So that could be like the secret weapon to maybe use against Elizabeth, etc. Next season, she can't unlock her full potential, I guess, without Iris around. I thought that was a really neat idea, just kind of that sisterly bond. It's the fact that they kind of started this whole journey together, and just the sheer nature of it, and those two and their relationship kind of went against what the CRM expected of them already. Because Huck was kind of saying, I assumed, when you got those messages from your dad, you'd come to me, then we'd go off. But it ended up being, she went to Iris about it, and it was actually Iris's idea for them to leave in the first place, not even Hope's. And that kind of scuppered the whole plan there. So I thought that was really interesting, and could be a good way for them to fight back next season. Iris's like sheer belief that they're just going to win because of what Hope was saying to her about that. I really enjoyed that aspect, and it's going to be, I think, a journey of those two sisters finding each other again next season for sure. So I liked everything going on with that. And just learning a bit more about, what Huck's trying to do, and, how far she'll go to do everything. I like that Hope called her out about, killing Tony, trying to kill Percy and everything. Some of her attitude about things kind of grated me a bit, because while she's a very interesting character, like, I can't get past that she murdered a guy needlessly in cold blood, because of all the sites they were getting close to finding and stuff. And you can spin it however you want, Huck. You still murdered a guy in cold blood, and you have to live with that. And she seems comfortable living with it, but I don't know. I think there is a bit of humanity in there. I do feel like she did genuinely care about a lot of these people, but she's also kind of hypocritical about it at times, and what the whole CRM message is about, bringing people together, and then she's just there framing people and slicing people's ankles so they can't move, and murdering people. And she's like, oh, I care about you all. Why did you do all that shit to them then? Especially because it seems the relationship between her and Elizabeth is quite strained. But the fact that she didn't know they slaughtered everyone at the university after she left makes me think there's still a chance that she could turn against her mum and everything, and kind of see the error of her ways, or like the extreme, the extreme way the CRM do things. Even earlier in the season, we had that guy who went to see Elizabeth, said like, I can't live with what we did at the university, and she kind of like had some guards take him away, and then she cried about it. So supposed to feel bad because she cried about it, and Huck was there about to kill Felix. Then she felt bad about it for a second, so that's okay then. Please, don't feel bad for them in the slightest. It's that kind of battle for conscience they seem to have. While interesting, they still did bad shit anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant that you felt bad about it because you still did it. So we'll see what happens with that, but I think there's potential for Huck to be like, okay, this is too much, you've gone too far, we need to do something to stop this, and maybe revert back to the other side, which I'd be happy to see, because I don't want Huck to die or anything, because I think she's still cool. She's a very interesting character, and I actually think one of my favourite bits in the episode was her and Felix's fight, when the house was like all burning down and stuff. I thought that looked really cool. I love the kind of shots of the fire behind them, you could just see their silhouettes like going to town on each other. That was really cool, and sad obviously, because they had such a nice bond up to that moment, but I enjoyed that once Felix was kind of presented with the facts, and he knew that Huck had lied to him about stuff, he didn't fall for any bullshit after that. I really like that. He's still very switched on in that sense, and he's not letting his emotions kind of cloud that. He's like, okay, well, Huck's clearly lied about this, there must be a reason for it, I can't trust her, that's just the way it is, as sad as he is over it. He really cares about Iris and Hope, and he didn't want Hope to be taken away, so of course he's going to defend her, even if that means having to turn on his best friend who had been lying to him anyway. So that's kind of sad to see how things have crumbled between them, but at the end of the day, Huck's fault. So yeah, I liked that whole kind of confrontation, but ultimately Hope still made that decision to go with them anyway, because it will keep the people she loves safe. That's why she left with Huck in the end of the last episode as well. And yeah, exactly what is in store for Hope and Huck and Elizabeth, etc. in the future. I look forward to it. I'm hoping they will spend a lot more time with Elizabeth as a character next season, and actually spend so much more time in this CRM, seeing how it all works, what their big goals are, their long-term plans, what they're doing is, and Huck's reaction when she finds out everyone at the university was killed. I think it's going to be quite a big heel turn for her, hopefully. So I hope they focus on that side of things a lot next season as well, just because I like seeing different communities in that sense. So that could be really cool to see. So yeah, bit of a savage attitude that Elizabeth can have at times. Oh, about the university, we'll talk about it, There's stuff you don't know. We killed everyone, by the way. Yeah, so that should be interesting to see where that goes. Then, yeah, seeing Will pop up at the end and reunite with Iris and Felix was a nice moment to see those two kind of reunited, and new mysterious group to be introduced to next season. Excited for more of that. Then we had everything with Silas, Elton and Percy, really name a more iconic trio. It was great to see very early on Silas and Elton reunite. Elton's face when he kind of saw him, like hugged him and everything. Ooh. And like how Silas was just like crying when he realised he was innocent. This time he was innocent. That was a really nice moment. And like, oh, I'm not a monster, I'm not a monster. As Elton was kind of telling him, then that all came back around to Silas's decision at the end. But it was cool to have. I feel like the scenes with those guys were a bit more of a breather for a bit. A lot was going on in all the other stories. Things were quite intense. Then we cut back to those guys. We could just let it breathe for a bit until obviously the CRM people showed up and they had to flee. But it was just a moment to kind of try and process what was going on with Huck and everything there, and the fact that Silas had been framed. I wish they'd got into a bit more why Silas was had gotten angry in that moment. Now, what was he angry about in that moment? And kind of forgot, when he was in the cupboard covered in blood and stuff. How much of that did Huck do to him? Did she make him angry and make him lash out, and then he forgot? And there's still a bit there that's a bit unclear, I think, but maybe we'll get more of it, I don't know. But I did like that Silas, he took a moment to apologise for Percy for, losing his uncle and everything. Percy seems determined to make Huck pay for that, so I'm still not quite sure, even if Huck does change her mind on things, Percy could still just come along and shoot her anyway, so we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, we didn't actually lose anyone, technically. We didn't see anyone die in this one yet. Maybe that's going to be something for season 2 to kill a few people off. But as long as the finale is good, you know, I don't care if people don't die on it or whatever. You know, there doesn't need to be like a shock value death just because it's a season finale. You know, there's a death of a lot of trust and relationships in this one, so that's enough for me. Because, you know, I've grown to really like a lot of these characters, and to see their progression from how useless a lot of those kids were at the start to where they ended up being, you know, Hope helping take out a lot of the walkers was great fun. I think Iris still has a long way to go. You know, she was an early contender of mine to be like the favourite. I really liked her in episode 1. Wavered a bit throughout the series, but I have consistently liked her a lot. But obviously, Elton was barely in episode 1, and from then on, when he got some focus, he was like, yeah, you're my favourite. So, you know, it's kind of a bit unfair in that regard for Iris, but she still has some interesting stuff. And she's started taking down walkers without falling over and throwing up, so she's definitely come a long way as well. And I really like Felix a lot, like the way he kind of handled the Huck situation and just that unrelenting wanting to protect Hope and their little hug goodbye and everything. Now he's looking out for Iris, like that kind of big brother kind of vibe I think they're going with those guys now. It was really nice. Him teaching Iris to drive was a sweet little moment, and Iris like, oh, sounds like something my dad would say, who do you think taught me to drive? Just little moments like that felt really kind of nice and earned after like 10 episodes of a bit of tension. And, you know, the only thing those three kind of all had in common really, and the girls and Felix, was like their love for Leo and like concern for him. That's kind of been the driving force of the whole show. And that's why I think it's very interesting that the big reason they all left in the first place was actually built on a lie, and, you know, Leo was absolutely fine. And you may indicate, and the post-credit scenes kind of tricked you, I think, into thinking it was quite sinister. And obviously what she was doing with that Walker guy who was in the photo, who I assume was the guy Leo was talking about, the guy who seemingly vanished. I assume that was him. I felt like the name they were talking about did sound familiar. Everything with that, you know, there's still obviously some very dodgy stuff going on, but Leo himself isn't in immediate danger, which I really like that kind of twist with that. It's not every day there's a twist and it's like, oh my god, everything's actually okay. So I thought that was an interesting thing that they did, switching it up. So yeah, now Elton and Percy are off on their own, determined to find people. Percy's determined to get revenge. And yeah, I liked Silas kind of being like, I don't want to be the monster anymore. Even if I wasn't the monster in this case, you know, I think he's still afraid of himself. And people have kind of, his journey this season, I think, has been realising that he can be a hero. He's not what everyone was thinking of him and saying he was. He can be much more than that. He can be completely against that. And that kind of, you know, very selfless act to give himself up so the others could escape. Even though one of them is still ultimately going to slow Elton down, because Percy's still not in a very good way. He's still going to be limping and leaving a blood trail. But obviously he kind of cut himself to make it look like the blood was going to be his, so they can cover that up in that sense. So exactly what Silas is going to do will be interesting. I don't know if they're going to just take him straight to maybe the CRM base so he immediately reunites with Hope maybe, or if he's going to stay on his own and have his own little story for a bit. Either way, I think it's interesting to see what they're going to do and how they're going to handle things. But I feel like Hope and Silas are probably headed towards the same place, so they could be like a pair. Then we have Iris and Felix and Leo, that whole group. Then we have Elton and Percy. So it's not like any of the characters are on their own on the story. They still have other characters to bounce off of next season, which I think is probably the smarter move. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. But very brave decision from Silas there to give himself up. And hopefully Elton and Percy can make it worth it. I liked what Elton was also saying to Percy near the end about the fact that they're the endlings, and he's also kind of... It's fascinating how much they built up the Hope killing his mum thing, and ultimately it hasn't had that big of an impact, really, considering how much they built it up. They probably could have revealed that a lot sooner, and then we had a bit of a fallout between, you know, fallout of that information between Elton and Hope, and then he went off on his own. Because ultimately it didn't really come down to that. I think Elton's journey was more so realising that he can have a bit more hope, which is kind of funny considering he spent a lot of time with a character called Hope this season. He's kind of found a bit more of that, thinking maybe we don't have 15 years left, we can make our lives mean something, we can build this better future. And that's also what Hope's actions were kind of leading towards anyway, to stay with Huck in the first place and then to reunite with her dad and everything. So, you know, the idea that they're the endlings and they're like the end of everything, they're actually... we could be the beginning. I like that idea that they can still build this better future, and humanity's not done yet, and he has that very like hopeful ideal about that, whereas the CRM are doing quite horrendous stuff to kind of ensure a future. So those kind of clashing views of how to build a better tomorrow, I guess, are quite interesting and something I'm sure they'll explore a bit more next season. So yeah, overall, really great finale. Love the big confrontations going on between Hope and Huck, and then Huck and Felix and everyone, and how everyone kind of has gone their own separate ways in little groups. Silas's kind of self-sacrifice there was really cool. Leo showing up, not Leo, Will showing up at the end with this new group of people. There's a bit to explore there. The connection with Hope and Iris and the fact that they kind of bring out the best in each other. I really like that idea a lot. And yeah, every character I think is in a very interesting situation heading into season 2, and the fact that we know it's going to be another 10 episodes and we know that's going to be it for World Beyond after the second season gets me really excited, because they clearly have some good stuff in mind, and hopefully the whole of season 2 will continue the momentum of the back half of season 1, because we know the characters now, we've got a lot of setup. Let's kind of go ham on it and go to town with all these little ideas, and hopefully make the World Beyond feel a bit bigger and fight for a future, because you really can't predict where things are going to go with World Beyond, because obviously I think chronologically this is kind of the latest in the Walking Dead timeline shows, because it's 10 years after the apocalypse. So anything could happen with that, which I'm really intrigued by. So who knows? Who can say? It would be amazing if like Hope and Silas or whatever turn up at this facility and then there's just Rick Grimes like, hey. But I don't know, I feel like Rick is maybe someone else. I feel like Rick wouldn't stick around with these kind of people for that long. Or he'd just kill them all. So I don't know if he would even be in that facility like that unless he was like being held captive or whatever. But that's probably a different story entirely from what World Beyond is trying to do. So yeah, fantastic finale to a really great first season. I was, when the trailers first came out about World Beyond, I was like, I mean, it does look different, but I don't know if it's going to be for me. And I wasn't actually going to react to it at all. I was going to watch it, I just wasn't going to react to it. Because I already did a lot of like Walking Dead stuff on my channel anyway. I was like, it's going to be oversaturated, and like the fact that it was going to be airing alongside Fear the Walking Dead, I was like, that's like, it's going to take me ages to get both those episodes out, and they're airing on the same night. That kind of put me off a bit. But when they announced it was only going to be 2 seasons, I thought, well, screw it, let's just do it. And I'm glad I did. It was a very slow first half, but there was still some nice moments throughout it. But episode 5 onwards for me really was the big turning point, and I think it's just gone from strength to strength in terms of story and characters and twists and stuff. It's been really good. I'm very impressed with how much of a turnaround there was during this, kind of season. And you could give a show a whole season to kind of find its feet, but I feel like they got about halfway through and they were like, okay, this is what we can do with this. And yeah, we got some really great characters out of it and some interesting setup for the next season. So I'm fully on board, very excited for season 2 whenever it's going to come. Great finale, and yeah, I'm pretty hyped. And I didn't think I'd be saying that a few episodes into the show, I will not lie. I did enjoy the early episodes, they were just still quite slow and a bit frustrating at times, and the pacing was a bit off, but they really did, kick themselves up the arse, I think, when it came to sitting down to write episode 5, and then suddenly it felt like a really polished show. So I'm excited for them to hopefully continue that into next season. Thank you for all your support, and everyone who's interacted with my reactions to World Beyond. I hope you've enjoyed them. And I guess I'll see you for season 2, or if you like the other Walking Dead shows as well, I'll see you when Fear comes back, and I will see you for the extra Walking Dead episodes, the extra 6 episodes for season 10, which I think is the next new Walking Dead content we're going to get. I think it's Walking Dead, like the main show next, I think. And then probably Fear will come back. But who can say? I assume that's what it is anyway. But yeah, thank you for sticking with it with me this season. I hope you've enjoyed my reactions. And until whatever happens next, thanks for watching.